What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Exchange. It's been a while. There hasn't been a lot of Star Wars stuff going on, but man, life's been crazy, and yeah, a hiatus just just came upon us, I suppose. But man, Ahsoka is out. We loved it. We can't wait to talk about it, but can't start the episode without asking Mike, how you been going, mate? What's been going on this
Hey,
last couple of months?
I know, right? It's been it's been a couple. This has been probably one of the craziest summers of my life and everything. So it's just so weird. So much. It feels like so many worlds are colliding all at once. In some points, like when Ari was here with me and Shy, he was amongst like all my school friends and well college friends and everything. And I thought it was such a melding of the two worlds. And then I've been reconnecting with old friends the past month, and it's been really interesting. It's been so cool of how far I've come on my personal journey of the experience of life, and then just I don't know, just a lot of reflection taking place in the past couple months and stuff. So been busy, and then having a full-time job is no joke. I would work 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, and then I get home and being like, all right, I got a full day ahead of me. And no, I didn't even have time to like make a post for Instagram. I was just so tired. So right now I'm in uh just working. It feels like side missions before I get to like my career and what I want to do and stuff. So it's still fun, but it's just not the work that I'm looking for the rest of life. So it's right now everything feels like in a crazy transition period, but
Mm,
it's crazy because then Star Wars as always provides, and I
yeah.
always feel like my life journey is always somehow tied to some of the Star Wars things going on and
Hmm.
in current state, just because I see a lot of parallels and stuff. So now I'm watching Ahsoka, and I'm like, I'm just ready to go in all in on Ahsoka and her own journey and stuff like that. And I just finished my Rebels marathon that I started months ago, and finished the finale like 5 minutes before the Ahsoka release dropped on Disney Plus. So, oh yeah, new time and date. So everything has just
Oh
changed
yeah,
changed
yeah.
around here and stuff. But yeah, it just you guys get the episodes earlier, so that's a good thing.
I
But
know, yeah, it
yeah,
suits us a lot, doesn't it?
it, it seriously does. So it just changes everything and changes our energy levels too. So I'm pumped for all this. But how's it been going for you? And yeah, it's been a minute. Tell us.
Oh man, yeah. So I mean, similar to you, life's just been crazy. Obviously, I had my whole venture out to the States, where, visiting friends and family, Mike included, of course. And yeah, I mean, we had a great time over there. So so many memories that we do talk about on episodes that have been recorded that haven't come out, but I know we sort of promised them in our most recent episode. There's at least two that will come out. There's yeah, there was so much going on with the trip and life, and so things have Star Wars has sort of got put on the back seat, I suppose, for both of us. Like I posted maybe once or twice when I was overseas, and I haven't posted since 2 days ago. So approaching Ahsoka, but please don't mind my voice if it's a tad croaky. I just recovered from the flu. And then I went to a football game, which was a big game up the Saners. And, and so I lost my voice again. But no, we're doing good. Also, it's been so long since we recorded an episode, which I was like, something doesn't look right on StreamYard. And I realized our display names weren't on for the first like minute of this podcast because it was switched off because we were using StreamYard to record, and obviously when using the one camera. Anyway, that just goes to show how long it's been. But no, I've been good. I've got a foreign visitor in my house. Some of you might be familiar with Davis. He's been staying with me, which has been fun. Yeah, I mean, I'm just out here, doing college, trying to find a new job and all that. So, yeah, life's crazy, but I mean, it's been fun. And hey, man, we always had to come back and cover this show because it's effectively Star Wars Rebels season 5, and that show means a lot to both of us and is a huge part of our Star Wars journey, and also just like our friendship. That was something that really brought us together. So it only felt right coming back and covering the show, which yeah, we're here to do. So let's get started, I guess. Mike, me and you just watched the first two episodes. Like you said, it's got the new release time, so it's coming out 11 a.m. for me now and 8 p.m. for you, which works so much better for both of our schedules. We can pretty much sit and watch them and then record, because it's not, 4 in the morning for you, or whatever it is, or
Right.
too early in the morning for me. But yeah, so it's working well. We've just watched them. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I just it was such a thrill to sit there and be all giddy with excitement to, well, let me preface this and say I wasn't excited for the show at all, because I did not really like Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka. Besides, I liked her in the Mando episode for sure, but it just felt like a different Ahsoka. But I was in the realm of, hey, we never got to meet the Ahsoka really after her encounter with Vader. Like, we saw her for a bit and she worked with Ezra, but she was fresh out of that experience literally because she was pulled away right before she would have been killed by Vader, right? Ezra saved her, and it was just like this quick moment, just thrown into a situation, reacting. What was her life beyond that world in between worlds? Like, what did she do? Like, that must have had a toll on her. She went into her fight with Vader thinking she can change him and be like, oh, and just to be almost killed by him, by the person that you considered, your master and everything, and your friend and your brother and like a father figure, all that, all at the same time. What does that do to a person? So I was always in the camp of, I was embracing that different Ahsoka that we got in Mandalorian. But then it just felt very garbled and mixed messages too in Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka felt all over the place, and like it just felt like the 2008 Ahsoka in live action, and it just felt horrible, at least to me. And so I wasn't really looking forward to that. But one of the things that, as Ari said, Rebels has meant so much to me, and you guys have heard the stories on here and stuff. But Rebels has meant so much to me, and I always opposed Rebels because it was the replacement series for Clone Wars. But after watching the premiere of Spark of Rebellion, I was just all in, and that's kind of how I felt here. I watched like a clip that featured Hera and Chopper on YouTube, and like my excitement for this show was maybe at like a 1 or 2, and this clip comes out and it immediately goes to like an 8. Like, it was insane. Like, I was like, oh my god, Hera sounds like Hera, and Chopper is Chopper, and the interactions that they had on in that damn like tiny second clip, that it was great. It just felt like it was perfectly translated from Rebels onto the screen and was its own thing. Like, it was just great. It felt like I was watching, the OG Rebels fans know Machine and the Ghost, that short that was released before the Rebel series, like ahead of its debut. And it just felt like that type of Hera and Chopper banter. And it just felt great. It felt right. Um, and this whole experience watching Ahsoka I was giddy. I was like, I was embracing that, these are not, Sabine Wren is not played by Tia Sakar. Ezra Bridger is not played by Taylor Gray. Hera is not played by the great Vanessa Marshall. These are all different. These are, characters written by Dave Filoni, but they're just not the way we know them. So I think all of this was great. If I'm being honest, like, I thought the the action sequences are amazing. The music was great. Like, this finally felt like I love the music in Mandalorian, but it definitely felt like its own different thing. And then season 3, we got a different composer and really didn't match the beat as the first 2 seasons. And the Kiner family, they just fill in the blanks. Like, it could be like a boring sit down scene, and it was just still the music. They have music in the background that carries this us from scene to scene, and it's always so poetic and everything. So the music was great. The visuals, I thought they looked good in the trailers and everything. It just turned me off because it looked like fan filmy and just looked too bright. Like, the lighting just didn't. It just looked like Ahsoka was underneath like a lamp, like a desk lamp. It did not look good. It looked good. Like, I enjoyed the visuals. So for these 2 episodes, set up the series on like this high platform for me that I just the first episode I thought was very cinematic. The second episode, I'm like, okay, starting to feel more like a TV show, but it still felt like a really expensive TV show. So I don't know. For me, this whole Ahsoka experience was great, grand, great Rebels continuation, and I'm very interested. Oh yeah, shout out Rosario Dawson because I actually
Mhm.
really liked her Ahsoka this time around. Really
Yeah.
liked it. So all in all, I thought these 2 episodes were fantastic. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm right there with you. I think my approach to the series going into it was a little different to yours. I remember when Ahsoka was initially announced at that investors meeting, I immediately, I was excited for everything that day, but Ahsoka was the one thing that I was like, yes. And going forward, I remember I used to, went back when I was doing the podcast solo, I'd have people like Mike on and I'd go, what are you looking forward to most in the future? And there was a mixed response, and we'd always end up talking about it. And I always talk about how excited I was for Ahsoka. This was, back in 2020, 2021, so when the series was still years away. So I've always sort of had that excitement for the show. I just because I always felt like it was going to be a Rebels continuation because I thought if we're covering Ahsoka in this period, well, we know that she met up with Sabine, and I mean, I've crapped on about it for long enough. But Ezra being my favorite Star Wars character, I'm thinking, well, does that mean we're going to find him? So I guess that's why I've always really looked forward to it. Now, more recently though, I the Rosario Dawson Ahsoka has just taken me a long time to get used to, but I think going into the series, I wasn't worried about that. I was fairly used to it. I didn't feel as strongly as Mike did, but I probably still agreed with what he said about Rosario in the Book of Boba episodes and stuff. But yeah, I think more recently though, with the Mandalorian season 3, everyone knows how I feel about that. Not great. Um, my excitement for it just went down a great deal. I just wasn't invested in the Disney Plus Star Wars shows anymore. This was only a few months ago, and then leading into it, I just my brain has been switched off from Star Wars, so I wasn't really thinking about it. But then I think similar to Mike with how he's saying he saw that clip of Hera and Chopper, that was definitely one that drove a lot of my excitement. But I think seeing a TV spot or whatever you call it with Hayden Christensen talking over it, I was like, okay. This was maybe a week ago. I was like, I need to start, really preparing for this series. So then I got back on Instagram. I watched Rebels season 4, and I was like, all right, I'm ready. Watched the trailers a bunch of time and was like, okay, this is gonna be great. This feels like Rebels season 5, and that's really really what I want because as we've both said, that series is just everything. It's probably both of our favorite thing within Star Wars. So to continue that is an exciting prospect. Anyway, all that to say, these first 2 episodes lived up to the hype that I guess I was building within myself. It feels like a very, very solid continuation of Star Wars Rebels. I think all the characters translated very well. I think me and Mike were talking about it during the episode, but the Mando Ahsoka episode, I have a newfound appreciation for because I feel like that was a rehearsal for this series. Because I think the Ahsoka character, I don't know what it is, the costume, just or the fact that we've seen that character so much, it's harder to get that right than maybe a Sabine or a Hera. So having that practice with Ahsoka, because I think people love that episode. For me, I was lukewarm on it. I didn't think it was quite right, but I think that was necessary so that when we start the Ahsoka show, look at the results we get. And it's a fantastic interpretation. The acting's great. The writing is a lot better, I must say, too. And generally, we also talked about Dave Filoni. His live action experience has almost all been practice and rehearsal for this show. And he's really knocked it out of the park so far. And then Sabine, Hera, they were great to me. There's still always going to be a part of me that's upset that those characters, all these characters couldn't be continued on by the voice actors. I'm literally staring at a picture of me with Taylor Gray and, as Mike said, the great Vanessa Marshall, all those actors, we still love them. But so, I think I had to get over that barrier, but the Rosario things definitely helped me as well to, maybe 2 years down the track, I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm ready. I'm ready to just move on and let go and go in with an open mind and really enjoy these new interpretations of the characters, which I did. I thought they were all great. Chopper, of course, was awesome. Not much change there, but on that side of things, I all thought it was great. Lothal looked amazing. That was something that I was looking forward to a lot, and that really paid off. And I think overall, the narrative just has me invested. You can sort of see where it's going, but there's still so many questions to be answered. It feels like there's a lot of direction to this show. And to touch on what Mike said, the show actually looks really good. It's not this excellent, amazing film set, However, you look back on some very recent Star Wars Disney Plus shows, Book of Boba, Mando season 3. This just exceeds that, exceeds the way those shows look by a long way, and really delivers in a solid way. But yeah, overall, the show feels inspired. It feels I'm actually really invested in the narrative going forward. I think there's so much to do here. It feels like such a good sandbox to play in for Dave Filoni. And yeah, man, I'm feeling great. I can't wait to dive further into these episodes. But let's talk about the start, because you mentioned it already, but it did feel very cinematic, like it felt like we were going into a movie. We got that crawl. The opening sequence was all unfamiliar characters, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, it sort of set the stakes for the whole show. How did that opening sequence pan out for you?
It couldn't have started better in the year that is celebrating 40 years of Return of the Jedi. It literally felt, and it was just maybe because we saw Home One and all the Mon Calamari cruisers, but I thought it was just insane. It just felt very cinematic, and I thought everything looked great, and it was it felt like we were going in the past by seeing all these, like, when you watch the original trilogy and you see all these like rebel guys in the in the bridge of ships and everything. It just looks so like science fictiony from that time. So it's so funny compared to like the kind of stuff that Star Wars does now and how different it looks. So it just felt like, just going back in the time where it kind of looks kind of like Star Trekky, and just like, science fiction of the 70s, but with all the, people on the bridge, rebel crew and whatever. So I thought that was funny. But it was funny visually, and I think we even laughed at that one Mon Calamari in that, like, and that
the helmet is like meant to stick out so much, but it just didn't at all. That was hilarious.
It was so funny. So yeah, I thought this opening scene was really cool. I thought the crawl was great. Yeah, it brought me back to it was perfect because it just felt like that time period post Return of the Jedi, or anything that has to do with the Rebel Alliance, which is, now the New Republic, but it just felt just like all that. So I thought it captured that great. And I love visually how that shuttle was coming in, and we all know how the back end looks of like the Jedi shuttles that they would use in Clone Wars and stuff. So I'm like, oh, it's one of those like Jedi shuttles. Okay, they are Jedi. And it's like, then later in the episode you get to see like the front of it, and it just doesn't look quite like the Jedi shuttles that we know from Clone Wars. So I don't know if that was done on purpose or not, but it felt very inside baseball. But yeah, overall, I mean, we saw a lot of this scene in clips and marketing and stuff where Balin and do you know her name? The apprentice's name? Do you? You're muted, by the way. You could tell it's been a minute for both of us.
Oh,
there we go.
it has been a minute. I think it's like, I can't remember exactly, but it's like Shill or something like that.
Oh yeah, so we'll get used to the names hopefully by episode 3. But yeah. Balin and his apprentice, when they were cutting up rebel soldiers inside the cruiser, we've seen that a lot of times, in the whole bunch of times in the marketing and stuff. So it was no surprise to me that was going to happen, but it was still done really well. Did you find her name?
Yes, I found the post that I made that has the name
great.
in it.
We got, yeah.
Oh no. Oh, Shin Hati. There you go. Shin Hati.
Shin.
Okay, I found it. Sorry, awesome. I was glitching out. There's a lot going on there behind the scenes.
But yeah, no, perfect opening scene. It just set the vibe, and set also up with the two characters. I mean, what did you think of Balin and Shin from the start?
Yeah, no, I really liked them. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's bittersweet because of the actor playing Balin, of course, unfortunately passed away, which very right in doing so, putting something in the credits there for him at the end. So in that sense, yeah, very bittersweet. But I think I love both the characters. I think they're great. There's a lot of mystery around them. The series did probably need some newer characters and not lean too heavily on Sabine, Ahsoka, Hera, Chopper, etc. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, no, I thought both of them were great, and I'm I just want to learn more, to be honest, because in the trailer we hear Balin talking to Ahsoka about Anakin and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, overall, I'm excited by them. How about you?
Yeah, no, I think they, as you said, not relying too much on the already established characters, and it kind of makes you raise an eyebrow because it's like, what are Darksiders doing out here and stuff? Like, what, it throws a wrench in what we already know with lore, with Jedi and Sith during this time. It's like, wait, what? Where do they fit in? And obviously some information has been revealed here and there about them and whatnot, but it's just very cool to get new premise in there because I'm already bored of the Inquisitor character. I'm like, why are you here? I think his name is
Yeah,
Merrick. I'm like, why are you here? Like, it's just
yeah. What's
he,
going on there?
I hope there's something more than that. But the at least Balin and Shin are carrying the villain side of it, and yeah, because the Inquisitor guy, I'm like, great, you look cool, but I think I'm tired of live action Inquisitors at this point. But I still think it's a cool concept, but I hope there's more there. But yeah,
Yeah, that you're so right. I didn't even think about that, but live action and Inquisitor just don't seem to go well, whatever it is. Um, but let's talk about, so Ahsoka goes onto that planet. She said the name of it, I can't remember, but and she finds the map, and I mean that maybe a small grab pad was like, oh great, like the map's just sitting there, and now we've found it, and like it
right.
just felt very like it's just classic
Rise of
style. I was like, oh
Skywalker.
yeah, Rise of Skywalker, even Force Awakens a little bit, just like we have this
Yes.
mysterious map and whatever it is. But
I'm tired of that cliche. I'm tired of the map finding it.
yeah.
I'm a bit tired of it. It's a little like, wait, who? Okay, so who put this map here? Who
Yeah, why does
who
it
updated
exist?
it?
Like how
Like,
does it
who made these like ancient traps when Thrawn is like a new premise in the galaxy and his
yeah.
location is a bit new. This looks like it's been sitting here for centuries. Who put that there? I don't know. Yeah. Go on. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah.
to
No, no, no.
rant about it.
I mean, I completely agree. That's how I feel. It's just like I don't know. It feels a bit of like a weird trope to use for this specific instance. It's like they only went missing like what 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Like someone
Right.
made this map for that. Anyways, putting that aside, the planet looked great. It was a great introduction or reintroduction, I should say, to Ahsoka. I did talk to Mike. I thought it was a little weird how we watched Ahsoka align those things for it felt like 10 minutes, but I guess he sort of told me those are the things you'll appreciate on rewatch, where it's sort of you have a moment to breathe. Whereas some stuff lately, it's like just so this happens, no moment to breathe. But anyway, yeah, I enjoyed all of that, and then yeah, I just thought solid reintroduction to the character. How about you?
I thought it was a grand entrance by Ahsoka because it's obviously she wasn't in the opening scene, but this is her opening scene, and it just the way she gets to fight those droids and everything. I gotta say the choreography so far has been really good. It's been solid. Like it's been I don't know. I just it feels like an upgrade from Mandalorian from what they were doing with some of the action sequences. They just didn't really. There's maybe like one or two that I like from season 3, and I could pick out like maybe 4 that I've really enjoyed so far from the episodes. And there's only 2 out, and you know, I think I'm including each action sequence that I really liked. So, um, yeah, great introduction to Ahsoka, and I really like that. It kind of felt like Indiana Jones a bit. It felt like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with those like alien type looking creatures on the
Yeah,
wall.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I felt very Indiana Jones inspired, but yeah, very, very, very meta for Lucasfilm. But yeah, and the way she was running away from the well, I thought with the droids when they were doing the countdown, I was like, why doesn't she just force push them away? But it just would have not made a difference at all because that was one big explosion. And when she started running, I'm like, ooh, that looks cool. And it was just I don't know, I just feel like Dave Filoni, now that he got to like sink his teeth into live action filmmaking, like this just all feels very grand. There was just something about the way it was shot, the way um everything was executed, even the music, everything just felt grand. I don't know. It was just the simple stuff that I even felt like I'm like, this is almost like movie quality. So
Mhm.
I could definitely see why they appointed Dave Filoni a live action Star Wars film now. Like I see it. I'm like, yeah, this. I'm telling you, the first episode genuinely felt like a cinematic experience. Like if you put in maybe
Yeah.
like 50, 70 more $1 million into the budget, you have me sold. You have me sold. Just so
Yeah.
you know, they can update. Like Sabine's armor doesn't look all that appealing. It kind of looks prosthetic and everything, but with an increased budget, I'm sure that would look greater and grander. But it just this feels like such a step up from Dave Filoni. Like all of this stuff. So
Yeah.
great Ahsoka scene, and yeah, it's like you got to have more of those scenes play out and stuff. And I definitely felt like this we were at such a it was just paced better than like all these choppy cuts. And you know, it's like, yeah, she fiddles around with it, we get it, but it's like the fact that you get to see Ahsoka fiddle around with it, walk from one stone to the other. It just there's something more about that I just like, you know. We just
Yeah.
get to a moment to pause and just
Yeah. It takes
sit
its
with the
time.
character. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I prefer that approach. I think at the time I was sort of just so eager for,
Right.
stuff to start happening because
Yeah.
it was the beginning. But yeah, no, looking back, I'm like, no, I'd so much prefer that than, I don't, I feel so bad continually coming back to it, but I prefer that compared to other recent Star Wars media. Anyway, moving on from that, we get reintroduced to Hera. What did you think of that? We already touched on it, but yeah, it was pretty seamless.
Yeah, again, pretty just because I've grown used to and accustomed to the voice in trailers and stuff of that of what's her name, Elizabeth. Do we know who's playing her?
Yeah,
Mary
Elizabeth something.
Mary Elizabeth something.
Elizabeth Mary Winstead or something.
Yes, that Winston, something like
Yeah,
that. Winstead. Yeah, I think you
we'll
nailed
get
it.
there. This is like
We'll get.
Andor all over again. We'll get there, guys. First episode back, first episode covering the show.
Yeah. Are we on season 3 of the podcast? Or are we still in season 2? We don't know.
We'll talk after.
But
We'll see.
yeah, the actress did a fine job of capturing Hera's mannerisms and portraying the character and not feeling cartoony. Like the way I felt Rosario Dawson was doing in the Book of Boba Fett episode. She just was trying to animate an animated character in live action, and that didn't work out too well. But this was great. I loved Hera's performance. I loved her dialogue. It just some of it though felt a little like cliche, because I know like with Rebels, like you know, it's more attuned to kids and stuff, and the way Hera would sometimes communicate to the other characters would be very minced and would be very direct, but with filled with love.
Yeah.
And here it was like the type of same feeling when I'm like, okay, we're grown up now. We can step up the dialogue a little bit. It just sometimes Hera, the way she's written, she sometimes relies too much on cliches like good luck. You're gonna
Yeah,
need
sure.
it. It's like, yeah. It's a cliche. We get it.
Yeah.
But it's I was told to stay away from cliches, but or you know, at least if you're gonna do a cliche, like, you know, refine it where it just doesn't sound like a cliche. So
Yeah.
it just Hera, this episode was, or these 2 episodes, she had a little bit of clichéness in her dialogue, but other than that, I
Cliche-ness.
I just created a new word and a new enunciation, of course. But yeah, other than that, like the Hera and the pilot in the cockpit, Hera's dialogue with Chopper, I
Oh,
thought
that was perfect.
it
Yeah.
was great. It was like some if you had like a live action making machine and you threw your Rebels Blu-ray at it and then it produced, you know, live action stuff, I feel like it just was that, you know, it
Yeah.
worked. So yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree. I can't even add much to that
You
besides
look
to
like you
say
disagree. Are you okay?
yeah, I really do disagree. Well, I mean, I think, yeah, I agree with everything regards the characterization. The appearance is pretty good. It's not the best, but I think that's just one of those awkward things that you sort of got to get used to with the transition, especially with like alien character, I
It's
suppose.
not Squadrons good. Have you seen Hera in Squadrons?
Yeah.
That wasn't a convincing yeah. Okay.
Well, I've seen it, but I'm like, does Hera look that good in Squadrons? I mean, it's been years since I
She
touched that
does. She
game, but
does.
okay, I believe you. I'll take your word for it. Um, but though we do go to Lothal next, which I already mentioned. I thought it looked absolutely great, and Ryder Azadi's there, which is awesome, and he's played by Clancy Brown, which is just epic. And then Jai Kell as well, just man, absolute love letter to Rebels, and these weren't just like in your face, like at least to me, I thought that made sense to have those guys in there, especially Ryder, especially in that moment, I should say too. But yeah, that was super fun, and like I've mentioned, Lothal just it looked great. It felt like we were on such a grander scale visually than anything we've seen recently on Disney Plus with Star Wars. So yeah, I thought all that stuff was good, and even just seeing Sabine on her speeder going down like the highway or whatever they call that, all the way to the comms tower, and yeah, having her live in there where Ezra used to is just I don't know, it's just great. It's definitely yeah, it's definitely pleasing me so far.
Yeah. No, 100%. Lothal is like season one. Lothal is like my favorite
Oh yeah,
thing ever. It's there's such a calming presence to Lothal, like the landscape, um, the music accompanying the planet.
mm,
With shout out Kiner family, and then whatever sounds, the sound effects of Lothal, just like the wind whistling in the air, or just the calming presence of Lothal cats or loth cats. Like it's just overall a calming presence. When you get season 4 Lothal, that is just a disgusting mess because of the pollution and the
yeah,
exploitation going on by the
yeah,
Empire. But this Empire, or nah, this Lothal, Empire is dead, by the way. This Lothal, this version of Lothal was great as well. I hope we get one of those. Like, oh no, I looked at you because we got a scene where, because I had just told you, see, episode 1 wrapped up. I'm like, I really hope we get some establishing shots of Lothal where we just get to like live in
yeah,
it. And
yeah,
we
yeah,
got
yeah,
that in episode 2 when there's a loft cat overlooking like the comms tower or something, and it just felt like a shot from Rebels where it just focuses on the loft cats, and the plains of Lothal, and that's
yeah,
exactly what episode 2 did. So I was like, great. So yeah, the writer Azaldi was Clancy Brown. It's just always great to see him. It's always great to see him in Star Wars. Oh yeah, he was in Mandalorian. He played that
yeah.
yeah,
The
that's
in the
right.
prison episode,
Exactly. He
yeah,
played that mercenary whatever, and now he's back. Oh, just yeah, it's great to see him, and I'm glad Ryder lives. I'm glad Senator
Jai
what
Cal,
Jai Kel lives, because
yeah,
everyone thought Jai Kel didn't live because he was in the penultimate episode of Rebels, but he didn't appear in the finale, so people thought he died. But
yeah.
no, he lives. He lives. I want a book
Shout out
on
Jai
Jai
Cal.
Kel. I want a book on
Yeah,
Jai Kel.
well, we have these books on Zerleonis, so surely
Oh,
surely we can get one on Jai Cal.
do you
This just
think we'll
came in the
see?
mail. I don't just have this ready for the podcast, by the
Thank you for doing that. Because do you
way.
think we'll see Zara Leonis in this show?
Oh, that'd be so great. I don't
Wouldn't
know
it?
if I don't know if it would like make sense, or I don't know how they could make it work. But if they made that work, that'd be great.
What if he was a rebel commander or something?
Oh yeah, even better. I'm
Maybe
so
he's the
down for it.
Inquisitor. Maybe he's the Inquisitor. I'm
That's
just
a theory.
saying.
I mean, that's a theory. I'm here for the wild theories. That's certainly one of them. But no, it would be great to see that. I want the Rebels love to just continue. Let's get a puffer pig in there.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Let's do it all.
I was gonna say, either to you or on the podcast, I was gonna say, oh no, that's my thing. What I'm gonna do is we're gonna make it a point every episode to mention if there is a puffer pig reference or not. And so I'm gonna say it at this episode.
Sure.
No puffer pig reference and no puffer pig appearance. Maybe the next episodes.
Maybe they've got to surely,
They have to.
surely.
They have to.
Exactly, exactly. Um, so another appearance, not a Rebels shout out, more of a Clone Wars shout out, but Huyang is like a prominent character
Yeah.
in the show, which I think is awesome. We actually get to see a lot more of him. He was great in that Youngling arc. I know you would have appreciated seeing him. So what do you
Oh
think?
yeah. No, when I was watching it, I had so many flashbacks of to when I was watching Clone Wars season 5, which he first appeared in, and
Yeah.
I was like in 8th grade, and I was just like, it's been so long since it's been 10 years since I graduated grade school, and so I was just like, I can't like I was trying to imagine myself back then in those shoes watching like Huyang in live action, because at the time the only thing live action were the movies, which is, I feel very old saying, but it was the only thing that was in live action. So it was so funny, because I just had this like weird experience. I was like, and not even like about like Ahsoka or Hera or anything. It was literally about Huyang.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out Huyang. I don't know, like it's so cool because I was just sitting there being like, man, like thinking about the episodes he was in, and how much, like how special he is, and also that they have David Tennant still voicing him. I thought
Yeah.
that was
It's great.
I love Huyang so much that David Tennant appeared in Jessica Jones's, or Netflix's series Jessica Jones. He appears as like the villain, and every time I would hear his voice, whenever I would get anxious from the episode because there's just so much going on, I would always, even though he was the villain, David Tennant, I would just always look for his voice and find that soothing Huyang presence whenever I could find it, because
Yeah.
it just, but yeah, just crazy seeing him. And I love that Huyang was alluding to, or actually showing that he was, he is Yuang, because just he knew all about the Jedi younglings, about the lightsabers, and he's just the,
Yeah.
he's just the relic. We love Yuang around here. So
And he's still
and
75% original parts.
right, and we know
Yeah.
that because well, yeah, because and
He
everything
says
looked
it.
new.
He says it in the episode.
He's
Yeah.
he said it, and then
Yeah.
I was just thinking about when he got like dismantled by the pirates in Clone Wars, or by Grievous, and now
Yeah.
just he has like a fresh new thing, but he's still 75%
Yeah.
original.
Good
So
new
that's
fresh coat of paint. You know,
exactly.
Huang just, and every time I saw him, I think there's one specific line where he says, "It's time to begin," or something like that.
Oh, right, right.
Just throws me back into the room at Star Wars Celebration
Oh
2022 when
yeah.
remember then it was like more than a year ago,
Yeah.
and me, you, True, Davis are sitting there watching it, and there was like we got 15 seconds of footage, and it was just like the most incredible thing. And now here we are already talking about it. Time
Right.
flies, but
Yeah, exactly.
it's just crazy how we've gone from that to now watching the show. I mean, people might not give one damn about that, but to me, I was thinking about those moments a lot while we were watching the
Yeah.
episodes.
Same.
Yeah,
Even the moment where we got to see Sabine with the mural, with the Rebels
yeah,
mural.
exactly,
That was great.
exactly.
And actually, I gotta point it out. Going back to that Ryder Azadi little scene, I love that the debut of that mural or whatever, it was such a like grand purpose. Like it was just
Yeah,
it was a cool moment celebrating the freedom of Lothal.
yeah,
Because quick side note, I thought because people were complaining. I remember when Lothal was freed and everything. I remember people complaining about, like, this is just inside Star Wars thing, but people were complaining in the Battlefront 2 campaign that had come out like months prior, that it had mentioned in there that Lothal, like there's a dialogue in there between Del Meeko and Iden when they were flying to Cloud City, or I'm sorry, Bespin. They're flying in Bespin, and they're like, "Oh, I can't wait to visit Lothal. Like it would be nice to see that place free again for once, or something like that. I want to see that place liberated." When it's like, wait a
right.
minute,
Interesting.
months later we
Yeah,
saw Lothal be liberated. And then I
yeah,
was like, oh wait, maybe it got occupied again. But in Rebels finale, they mentioned that it's like, no, that attack never came. Sabine says in the epilogue, she's like,
yeah.
that attack that
The
we were
attack
all
we all
expecting
anticipated. Yeah,
never
yeah,
came. So I this these two episodes started to answer some questions about like the state of Lothal afterwards, after the Empire and stuff. So, or I'm sorry, after the events of the original trilogy and stuff. Because I was just, it's just, you think we spent so much time on Lothal. It's like I want to know what happened while Empire Strikes Back was going on. Oh, what about that first Death Star? What was Lothal
yeah.
ever a target? And because I'm pretty sure the Empire was like, let's keep Lothal's uprising very hush hush and pretend like, I mean, and Del Meeko and Iden were Imperial, so it's like you think they would know, but it's like it was probably so sealed off that it's like Lothal,
Exactly.
it's occupied. We don't want the rest of the galaxy knowing that the rebels actually freed Lothal. no, like it's still occupied and whatever, propaganda. But anyways,
For
that's
sure.
something I want to let out, because as I was watching the Rebels finale, I was like, that is such a cool topic of interest. Like if I was drunk in a bar and you were there or whatever, or someone else was there, another Star Wars fan, I think I could go on this topic for 10 minutes, but just wanted to do a little spiel. So thank you for indulging.
There you go. Clip that. Put that on Instagram. There you go. So something we kind of skipped over was, so I mean, it's been the worst kept secret of all time, but the live action casting of Ezra was, of course, Eamon. I'm not gonna try to say the name,
Is
but
Fondy?
yeah, something like that. He's it's worst secret kept of all time. He's playing Ezra live action, and we got to see a hologram of him. And I said to Mike, man, that was kind of jarring, almost cringeworthy to watch, just because first of all, the costume, like Mike pointed out, doesn't translate very well into live action. Um, but yeah, I liked the interpretation. Obviously, it's such a small part, and when we see him playing the character, hopefully down the line, it's going to be a completely different characterization. But yeah, that was a sort of a jarring moment to see Ezra in live action. But I mean, it's going to take some getting used to. But overall, yeah, it was cool.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
even, I mean, it's even gonna be weird seeing Anakin in a flashback scene, Anakin
Oh
with
yeah,
Ahsoka. I'm like,
as
why are
Hayden
they,
Christensen. Yeah,
even though it's Hayden Christensen, I'm still gonna be like, because I grew up with Clone Wars and love Matt Lanter sometimes. That's an inside joke, sorry. I'm gonna be like, why are they trying to replicate Matt Lanter and Ashley Eckstein? I'm gonna have like such
yeah,
a weird response to. I know, even though it is Hayden Christensen, the original Anakin, I'm just gonna have like a weird probably response to it. But I'm sure it's not gonna take long for me to be like, oh my god, it's Hayden Christensen and Rosario
yeah,
Dawson. It's gonna be,
exactly.
it's just that little hurdle that to get over, and I'm sure, like, in Ari's experience, it's gonna be cringeworthy, but
Yeah.
you know,
We'll get used to it. I
we'll
think
get,
the whole
we'll,
fandom collectively experienced that with Rosario, or at least a fair portion of it.
oh, for
But
sure.
yeah. Something else to talk about of interest from still that first episode is, it was really hinted at heavily in the trailers, but the relationship, the dynamic between Sabine and Hera is super interesting. It's, man, I actually, we haven't even really talked about this even off air, but I'm interested to see what is actually going on here, because Huyang and Sabine have a discussion in the second episode about, you are the least talented, the least in touch, I suppose, with the Force. Like, it was meant to be a funny thing, but there was a lot of truth to it. So I'm curious. I don't want to be that guy like, well, is she Force sensitive, or like what's going on here? But genuinely, is she Force sensitive? Is that's what going on, or is this a Chirrut Imwe situation? I'm not sure. And then on top of that, the relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine is super compelling to me. At least now I have so much I want to know about. I'm like, man, give me a comic series, a book, something about what's going on since Rebels ended, and these moments, because they're talking about, oh, you left me, or you were stubborn, you're still the same, all this stuff. So, and yeah, what are your thoughts on everything I've just talked about there?
I think it's a very shocking revelation, because it's not what I would have imagined or even wrote myself after seeing the epilogue of Rebels. And
Yeah,
as Dave Filoni said, one story ends with Rebels and another one begins, and and then he even released concept art of, or I mean, like, just a picture, a drawing of Sabine and Ahsoka, and they were like, faring in the mountains or whatnot, and snowy mountains and whatever. Do you remember that piece of art that he released one time? I don't know how far
no,
after the finale he put it, but
I
we'll
can't remember.
we'll find it and post it somewhere. But to me, it was jarring to get all this information, and also being told, like, wait, Sabine's force sensitive, because there's not a one moment in the series that I could think that she was force
Yeah,
sensitive. But I think you can maybe go back to the Trials of the Dark Saber and maybe say some aspects, because everyone has the Force residing in them, but you just have to. I think Kanan said it, where you, like, everyone has. I think it was in the episode. Where Kanan was giving her the speech, like, everyone has the Force, but some people are a bit more shut off to it, and he was
yeah,
trying to help Sabine, like, open the doors to it, and I think maybe I don't I don't know how I would frame it, but I could maybe probably make a case that she is force sensitive and stuff, that she, but because she's so stubborn, she just has always had her doors closed to it or
I gotta
something.
say, if that's the path they go down, which I think there was a teaser or something, maybe I think the leaked celebration trailer teased like her moving a cup or something with her hand. And yeah, just for me personally, if they go down that route, I'm gonna try and be open minded to it. But that's gonna be a very, yeah, I agree with you, very shocking revelation. Like you're saying, we've watched a 76 episode series or however long Rebels is, no hint toward that. At least I feel like maybe at the tiniest bit in the Trials of the Darksaber episode. And then, yeah, all of a sudden, bang, she is like, I don't know. I'd be really interested to see how they do it. I trust Dave to pull it off, but yeah.
Right. I mean, it did feel very mystical when Sabine was kicking rocks in Trials of the Darksaber, and then she walks away, and then Bendu gets up, and he's just like,
True.
hmm. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, hmm. I always thought that there could have been a connection there because I'm like, oh, Bendu only appears really to force sensitive people, but then when he gets shot out of the sky by Thrawn, then he says something really like he just drops a bomb on Thrawn and then just disappears. But I it's so funny thinking about now. But so I don't know. I think maybe there could have been a connection there between Bendu almost appearing to Sabine and whatever. Because I think in Rebels Recon, Pablo
I
Hidalgo
was
or
just
Dave
about to bring
Filoni,
it up. Yeah,
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 they mentioned that they
yeah,
were gonna have like a scene together, right?
yeah, yeah. But then Pablo, I'm like 90% sure Pablo ends up saying, but like in our head canon or whatever, that they don't actually talk.
Right, right,
So,
exactly.
which is interesting. It was like, but then it's like, why was that even in the episode if they don't talk? Like, it's a weird
Yeah,
moment, I
they
think,
were
to
gonna
see.
have like some moment or something. We have to go back and we'll report back to you guys, so you guys go
Yeah,
watch it and do your homework. But there was like something there. So this revelation of Sabine and Ahsoka, I think is so interesting because I'm like, well, that makes sense why Ezra left behind the lightsaber. It's like, yeah, put it to use, like train her. But I mean, she would have to have the Force. I don't know. Like it just and but also like they're like how broken their kind of relationship is at the moment. It just it's so empowering in a way because it takes you back to when Kanan was training Sabine, and even
yeah,
though she was like so like she almost gave up and everything, and Kanan had to do a new approach to get to Sabine, and he
mm,
finally did it, and she had like this whole emotional moment, and she was able to wield that dark saber.
yeah.
So I wonder
She
if yeah,
Oh, sorry. You go.
go for
Sorry,
it.
sorry. I was just going to interject to say she's such a great character like that because
She is.
she's so relatable. Like that stubborn edge she has. There's everything about her. I heard someone talking about it yesterday on a video. But yes, it was actually the new actor Natasha. She was saying that Sabine is just, yeah, she's an incredible character, and I can sort of I have a feeling some people aren't really gonna like Sabine who are new to the character watching these first two episodes. I don't know why I have a feeling of that, because she sort of comes off almost like Ahsoka and Ezra did at the start of their series, just in terms of like that cocky, annoying,
Ratty, yeah.
random stubbornness. But then I love it though. I think it's great. She's the characterization is great from both actresses, and the writing is good. And yeah, I mean, you can just go watch Trials of the Darksaber, and that speaks for itself. But I'm glad to see that continue in Ahsoka, at least so far.
Right, and we talked about this, but I love what they're doing with Ahsoka. We didn't you said it, you thought it would be boring if Ahsoka was just always this like, if she was the character that she was in Rebels in this
Yeah,
series, it would be so boring. I'd be
yeah,
like, great, yeah, no, Ahsoka knows all the answers, because
yeah,
Ahsoka in Rebels, she played like the role of like Obi-Wan or Yoda, where she was the one answering the questions,
mm, mm,
and now it's like she thinks she has all the answers, but it's like, oh no, you got to talk to Sabine, and it's
yeah. Hera's playing that role. Yeah,
Hera's playing that role in this series. The one that Ahsoka played at Rebels, Hera
mm,
gets to play that role now, and she's kind of being like, you gotta like, all right, what's your definition of being ready? It's like, yeah, Hera. So, and it just fits
exactly.
the Hera
Yeah,
character so well anyway, but it just works
absolutely.
perfectly, and
Yeah,
we're gonna see Ahsoka grow a lot through Sabine. So it's cool. It definitely feels like the Ahsoka and Sabine show at the moment.
yeah. Man, the more this conversation goes on, the more I'm realizing how much I really love these 2 episodes. Like, what a great setup for Ahsoka as a character to like, I can see the journey that we're gonna go on with Ahsoka, which is great because yeah, like, you know, like we were talking about, this show would be boring if we got the Ahsoka from Rebels. Like, she's gonna go through, her own development through her relationship with Sabine and then, you know, the conflict that's gonna come with Thrawn and everything. So yeah, no, that's great. I guess yeah. Part one ends with Sabine getting stabbed, which just felt like the Grand Inquisitor from Obi-Wan all over again. I was just like, yeah, great, like because we've already seen her in trailers. Plus, come on, they're not killing Sabine
Right.
like that. But yeah, that I almost just like rolled my eyes, or not even. I kind of just laughed. Like I was just like, great, whatever.
Yeah, I
Like she'll be
left
fine.
too.
It feels unnecessary. I wish they just like, you know, sort of like how with Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones, like cut her leg a little bit so then she can fall over. But do we have to stab her? Like, I don't know.
Right. No, yeah, no, exactly. Like it just it just felt like so unnecessary that I laughed and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but in actuality, I think I liked it a bit because as soon as that happened, afterwards, like Sabine cut her hair, and she also cut it because she was going on like this new journey and donning her armor again. But I always felt like when Sabine went through like an experience, she would always like change up her hair. When she got shot
Yeah.
in the helmet by Vader, well, when he deflected her blast
Yeah.
arrow,
Yeah. Yeah.
she changed her armor scheme and
Yeah.
everything, and she
Everything.
changed her hair. So it felt kind of attuned to that. But you could also make the case that she cut her hair because she was going on this new journey and she was donning
Yeah.
that armor
Yeah.
again. But
I like
yeah,
your interpretation as well, though. That's good.
thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Anyways, that was what it was. But also the fact they ended the episode on it as well, like as if
Yeah,
like
right,
it would be this big cliffhanger. I was like, oh, thank
right.
God they released both episodes today. But yeah, anyway, moving on to part two. We've already covered a lot of the stuff in there, but I'm sort of just filtering through it now to see what we haven't talked about. Um, I guess yeah. Obviously the map gets taken off, which is where, you know, a big moment in the story. And Balin and Shin and all the and Morgan, Elsbeth have the map that for some reason exists. Anyway, so we find out something pretty interesting, which is that the Purgil have all but taken Ezra and Thrawn to a different galaxy, which, man, that's crazy. They're in a different galaxy. But I mean, I like that because it explains sort of why they've been like so impossible to find and whatever. I guess the only way back is through the Purgil, or I guess this new invention that Morgan Elsbeth has created on Corellia. But yeah, that's sort of an early revelation in the episode. And of course, Morgan Elsbeth. There was a lot of theories going around before Ahsoka came out. I don't know if you heard them, Mike, but about her being a Nightsister already, because you can see
Yes,
her, yeah, floating around some green magic stuff, and that was confirmed, which I really like. I think that's super cool.
very
Um,
cool.
I don't know. I don't know what the relevance is going to be, but I trust that there will be something there. But yeah, there was a fair few revelations in this second episode, which yeah, overall I agree with you. The first episode was more cinematic, and this one felt more like a TV episode. But it still felt like I was like, all right, cool. Like
Right.
we're off. We're off. The race is off. You know, we're watching it go ahead. So yeah, what did you think of all that stuff though?
Uh, First, Morgan Elsbeth. I love the way she looks. She looks crazy.
I agree.
She looks like she hasn't been like even just a few strands that are not in place in her on
Yeah,
her head. She looks crazy. Her eyes look like she has baggy eyes that she hasn't slept like in weeks. Like she just looks crazy. Like she's on a mission to get Thrawn. So I loved seeing that character back, and I love how just crazier she looks than the last time.
yeah,
Like she's slowly losing herself. Um, Also love that there was actually a tease to like this Dathomir stuff in the first episode because I picked up when Ahsoka was doing the puzzle stuff, the Indiana Jones stuff. When she finally gets the thing, there's like this sound effect. I think yeah, it was in Clone Wars that it just sounds like the magic that's being
yeah.
used when the death with the
Nice.
Night Sisters when they're doing magic. It made that sound, and I was like, oh, that's weird that they used that sound. And then the second episode when that gets revealed, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool
Yeah,
connection. Yeah, shout out
yeah,
Lucasfilm, Skywalker Sound for always like just doing the smallest things like that, just for it just enhances the experience.
Hmm.
But yeah, Morgan Elsbeth was really cool to look at. It made sense, as you said, with the whales, with the purrgil. Um, I still we need to have like a different show on this podcast. Maybe like we start it now and we just go on until whenever, but just a Rebels rewatch and just
Oh yeah,
talk about
yeah. Oh, I'm so
there's
down.
just it's just so like just compact with so much to talk about that it's like, wait, I have to remember this is the Ahsoka show, not the Rebels show. Because all I want to do is
I
talk
mean,
Rebels.
you can. It's pretty
It's
much
kind of
Rebel
both.
season
Yeah.
5, man. Yeah.
It's kind of the same. But um I mean, I this is more of a critique on the overall John Favreau and Dave Filoni verse with the Thrawn character, because it feels a little bit redundant to use the character as a villain again, the way that the Heir to the Empire books used them, and it's like it just feels like we're doing that when it's like I think it would have been really fascinating the way we're expecting a Ezra Bridger character change up. I
Mm,
would have expected a Thrawn character change up a bit,
yeah.
just because it would have been like Thrawn and Ezra would have had to rely on each other now to survive, or at least that's what I would have thought. They would have had
Yeah.
to become allies now that Thrawn was pulled away from the Empire and stuff, and Ezra was pulled. Like now they were just like tasked with you know depending on each other to survive. So I thought we might have seen a Thrawn character change, but it's they're not doing that. Anyways, that's just a critique on that. But in here, what they're saying, yeah, all makes sense. I'm the way jumping ahead here, but just the end point with the damn machine that they're going. I'm like, as you were saying earlier, it's like, where are they going with this? I'm very curious on the story. Obviously, I'm excited about all this rebel stuff and seeing how the story evolves after the finale of Rebels, but I'm just like I'm very much attuned also to the story that they're building here and to the return of Thrawn and Ezra essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said to Mike, the 5th episode's directed by Dave Filoni, and at the pace we're going at, really feels like that'll be the episode where we get Ezra and Thrawn and stuff.
Right.
Just throwing that out there. I don't know, but that's just a thought. Which, to add on to what you're saying, I'm like, okay, well, if we get Ezra and Thrawn, then what are those last 3 episodes doing? I'm super interested. Which those will be great because we can see, well, what happened with Ezra, how's he going? Obviously, something I care about a lot, and then same with Thrawn for everyone eager to hear that. Um, Also, just a few random things that are kind of unrelated, but I just want to touch on. Part of me is a little bit annoyed that this show is called Ahsoka at all. I like Ahsoka as the main character. I don't mind that, but it feels like it puts the show in a shoebox of having to be about Ahsoka. You know what I mean? Where say if there's a second season, Ahsoka can become a side character and Sabine can become a main character, or Ezra becomes a main character, whatever it is. And also, just it feels like such a generic title. I'm kind of sick of the titles Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka. Like,
Yeah.
I prefer a bit more creativity because Andor could easily be called anything else. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Dawn of the Rebellion or whatever it is. And this could be something that like Star Wars I mean, it can't be that, but you know what I mean. Anything but Ahsoka. Anyways,
Rebels
that's a small
Legacy.
guide.
Rebels Legacy.
Sure,
That I'm all in for
sure.
that.
Bang. That's already you've just thrown that off the top of the dome. That already sounds better than Ahsoka. Anyway, that's a small gripe, but is what it is. Also, the Ahsoka title screen is so plain. It's
Wow,
just like
good,
the
yeah.
logo and like a tiny tune. Whatever though, it's not a big deal. I don't care that much. And something that like we've known for a while, but just seeing it was really great. It's just like um, sort of how well, first of all, that there's a female lead, but all the side characters, there's just a strong female presence in this show, which I think is really refreshing for Star Wars. The lead is female, the side characters, Sabine, Hera, the
Oh.
villain Morgan Elsbeth, and I didn't even, I'm not watching that thinking like, oh, this is great that they're doing this. It's like, no, they just did it and it was great, and no one's ragging on about it, at least that I've heard. And it's so refreshing compared to things we've got where in Star Wars a lot of the time, it's just it's a lot of it's a lot of testosterone, I suppose.
I
Which
didn't even think of it
is
was
fine, but
so subtle
yeah,
that I didn't even.
exactly. But that's how it always should be, and I think it's great that just exists in this show, and all these characters are so great, and like we're sitting here two dudes, not even like thinking about it or anything, just like, loving it. I just wanted to point that out because I think that's something that it's a credit
Yeah.
to Dave Filoni. He created a lot. I think all these characters, all the four that I mentioned, Hera, Sabine, Ahsoka, and Morgan Elsbeth, he created all of them. So credit to him. But yeah, I just thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah, it's funny. My mom was, she saw an Ahsoka trailer and she's like, "Oh my god, I want to watch that." And she liked she's not her first experience to Ahsoka was besides the times that my brother and I would watch Clone Wars on Friday nights and eventually popping in the room to see what we're watching and then walking out. I'm sure she saw Ahsoka then and there when we're watching Rebels, but her first like real like episode sitting down and watching something Ahsoka was Ahsoka Mandalorian. And she was just like, she liked the character and everything. So she's a Jedi. Oh, interesting. And then she saw the Ahsoka trailer and was like, "Oh my god, like that looks cool. Like that kind of reminds me of Wonder Woman." And I was like, interesting, because my mom's favorite superhero ever is like Wonder Woman, and I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't even think about it like that. So I'm like, oh yeah, like this is exactly what you said. It just feels like it's a nice change. And when my mom put that perspective for me, I'm like, oh, because you got like the Batman, Superman, Spider-Man movie, Captain America, all this, and then you get that Wonder Woman movie, and it's like, oh, what a change up from the lineup. And that's exactly what this feels like, even just to cast the characters.
It just the whole show, and not just because of what we're talking about, just feels so fresh, so clean. Like
it does.
I'm just loving it. But yeah, a few. We won't go too deep into the Corelli things because we're running low on time here. But I mean, all that stuff. Corelli was great. I thought it looked good. All that. I liked everything that happened there. The action was great. Hera and Chopper in the Phantom. We already talked about it earlier. But yeah, all that was great. The humor as well. Like that just felt like Star Wars Rebels live action right there.
Yes.
And then finally, to finish it off, I want to talk about the ending, which it feels like, no one's confirmed this, but I mean, come on, we know that ending was the Rebels epilogue. At least, we can be 95% sure. There's some small changes. Ahsoka's not holding the staff. Ahsoka's wearing a gray robe instead of a white robe. But I think they're pretty clearly trying to show us that is the epilogue, the way Sabine goes and taps on Ezra's face like that, and the way the ship's there, and just the way that's all panned out. The retcons, we can talk about that. But overall, it's just like I think I'm just satisfied with those two episodes leading to that moment, and now we take off on the adventure. The retcons, whatever, but I just thought I feel very fulfilled from these two episodes, and I felt like that was a great endpoint, and now I feel like, where this journey is just beginning and we're off.
No, yeah, and it's just now. But if anything, I love that if you go back and rewatch the finale and the epilogue, attached to it, it just feels like now you get more context to that scene, and you're like, because Sabine literally, it's like I've always wondered why there was just this awkward stance between them, and it was just like Ahsoka just standing there. And because I'm like, okay, this is obviously they prearranged this, because there's no way that Ahsoka just showed up and Sabine's like, "Oh my god, I thought you were dead." So it's like with this added context of Sabine like turning around.
Sorry, that's a very funny thought. Oh, I thought you were dead.
She just showed up on her door. Yeah, exactly. But if you rewatch the animated version of the epilogue, Sabine kind of turns around kind of like this, like she's kind of confused, and Ahsoka's just standing there kind of like, this is something obviously happened. So with this added context, now I'm gonna watch that scene and be like, oh, perfect, I get it now. I get it. I get that stance, and they have history between them. They're kind of feuding at the moment, and not everything's all that good. I get it.
I think one thing that slightly bothers me, the costume is, I can't lie, it does bother me, but I'm just trying so hard to not think or worry about that. The thing that genuinely does kind of annoy me is in the epilogue, Sabine says, but one day it just hit me. Like, what Ezra was saying meant something more than just he's counting on me or whatever. It meant, he's out there somewhere and it's time to bring him home. And then the way Hera had an okay response, but Sabine, the way she sort of discovered, so Ezra could be out there, like it felt very much like, yeah, great. Like, but if it had been 6 years and that truly was the first time someone had mentioned the prospect of Ezra might still be alive, I kind of wish she had a bigger reaction to it also. But then that makes me think maybe I'm gonna try and give myself some headcanon here to bring some peace to this whole thing. But maybe so Sabine says, but one day I had this realization, Ezra's out there and it's time to bring him home. Maybe this was something that they'd already talked about, a few years ago, and she'd already had that realization. I think Ezra's out there. I don't know how I'm going to find him, but I'm trying, or something like that. And then Ahsoka sort of has now found the evidence required to be like, yeah, he's out there. Let's go find him. But I wish we got a bigger reaction from Sabine. Like, are you serious? Maybe I have to go rewatch because I can't remember exactly what the reaction was. But yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally see that. I could see that the years kind of took a toll on her. If like maybe there was like because it's like I'm pretty sure before they would have tried to find him, and even at the end of after they disappear, Hera's like, pull up every star chart of Ezra's last location or something, and then Ezra's message pops up, and it's kind of like a hey, we'll see each other again someday type deal. But it's like Sabine, she in the Rebels epilogue, she says like, I thought it was he wanted me to take care of his people in Lothal, but then one day I realized it was something bigger, and I thought I was connecting back to the piece of when she played the hologram in the Ahsoka series. She played the hologram of Ezra. And yeah, I see what you're saying. I need to rewatch it to get more of a like definitive stance on it, but I do like your headcanon.
Yeah.
There's some pieces that you can totally like put into play, but as you said, I like the way they were so close, you would have expected
there's
like
some
a
gray
bigger
area
reaction.
for sure.
Yeah.
But there's still the great thing, there's still 6 episodes left. I really hope we get some flashbacks to something, or even just some dialogue that goes over kind of what we're talking about. But I like that era of Sabine and Ahsoka training just interests me so much. I just want to know so much more about that. But
yeah,
sorry, go on.
There's just so much to like. Rebels is such a fat, juicy watermelon, okay, that I just can't get enough of. Like those fat, juicy watermelons, like juiciest ones, like it's never ending. And that's what I feel like Rebels, we just, not that we have to like milk it entirely, but it's like there's just so much there that we're just like, we've literally just only peeled the watermelon. It's like let's sink our teeth into everything that we can explore with this series and stuff, like as you said, in like a book or something of these two characters, or even just like the moments between each season. Like it's just there's so much with Rebels that I want to know what happens to, because everything has been look Lucasfilm and Disney Books, they would have totally exploited all these little threads and make books, but the perfect thing about why that hasn't happened is because all of this is under Dave Filoni's palm and hand. All of this, how come we never heard about Lothal in the First Order region, or in the era? We heard of all the Kashyyyk got re-enslaved, or they took the Wookiees and enslaved them again. Great, Lothal has just not been touched for a reason. So I hope that Dave Filoni, as we go forward with this Ahsoka show, I hope we just get more of like Ahsoka, Sabine, the characters. I want to know what happens to Ojo. I know that he gets killed in Rebels, but I just I want to know more about him. I want to know how he got there. I just, favorite glove shit. What can I say?
I've always said I want Rebels content between seasons 2 and 3. I would love to see everything that goes on there. But anyways, that was a big juicy discussion that we just had that's gone for more than an hour, but I'm sure there was a lot to unpack and we have a lot to say.
Still.
But yeah, and so next week it looks like the track has been placed. Those guys are the baddies are about to take off, and will Ahsoka and Sabine catch them in time? We'll see next week. But man, it's going to be a lot of fun covering the show. I'm already having a blast just watching it and talking about it with you, and getting back into the Instagram space. Both of us for this show has been super fun too. So man, yeah, we're all ready here to continue covering Ahsoka. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this discussion that's gone on for a while, but it's been fun. But before we go, any last thoughts? Also, what's your overall rating for? Let's just combine what's your overall rating of Ahsoka so far?
9 out of 10. Yeah, for sure. Overall thought. Wait, what did you say? Overall thoughts?
I said, did you have anything that you want to add? But sure, give overall thoughts.
funny how people were saying Mary Els, whatever her name is, Morgan Elsbeth, when she was doing she put like that when she was with Balin and Sheen, when she did like it was like that big hologram of the map.
Mm.
Everybody thought that that was the world between worlds
Mm.
that we've seen in trailers and stuff, and I was like, you guys
Good
are.
point.
I was like,
Yeah.
that looks like a map, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what we got here. So I thought it was so funny. By the way,
Vindication.
that like shot of coming onto that planet of that going
Oh,
in
that
and
was
like
gorgeous, wasn't
that
it?
was gorgeous. That was great.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Disney Plus who? Anyways,
Yeah. Exactly.
so yeah, I could see why people were saying like, oh, all the Andor fans are gonna like this because it just feels like a step up from the cinematography and the Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, um, I mean, just overall thoughts. Anything else to say? I mean, as you said, this is gonna be so much fun to cover. We're both big Rebels fans. When we went to Galaxy's Edge, the we we le- we try to buy something that like we both can get, and like he'll have
Mhm.
a version of, and I'll have a version of it. And we got a puffer pig. Mine is sorry,
How
mine
could
is
we
back
not?
there.
Yeah. Oh,
Mine
no,
is
I can
over
see
there.
it. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, mine. I'll get it out. That's what I was forgetting. Oh, could you do that again? That was ASMR. Thank you. So we'll try to do that every episode of Puffer Pig Squeal. But
Yeah.
this is great. Like this just feels like a great continuation of Rebels so far. I don't know what the next episodes will track, but it just feels like a good start. It feels refreshing to sit here and talk about something live action Star Wars that we like both thoroughly enjoyed. Like,
Oh,
or I
yeah.
should
Oh,
say
man.
really greatly. It just feels nice. It just feels like we're back, and I hope
Yeah.
it continues for the next couple weeks. And Dave Filoni, I'll give credit where credit's due. Dave Filoni killed it. Like this is just a step up from, and even it just the writing feels like a step up live action wise, and he just has been working his butt off, and it shows. That
Yeah.
this was grand.
Yeah. No, excuse me, I agree completely. Yeah, 9 out of 10 as well for me. I don't have anything to say besides let's just please keep this rolling. It's so nice to sit here and just talk about, everything we loved. Mandalorian season 3 was so taxing on me. I'm just like,
All
I'm
of us.
really excited for this journey. So let's keep it going. But until next week, guys, you can follow our pod page at the SW Exchange. We're pretty inactive on there lately, but we will be back on it this week for sure. You can follow me at Star Wars _exchange on Instagram. You can follow Mike at.
All underscore Star Wars on Instagram.
We've never done that before, but
I know.
it always feels so goofy to me. I just never want to do it, but I just thought, whatever, special
Yeah, why
occasion.
not?
Anyways, please follow us on all our podcasting platforms, subscribe on YouTube, hit us up with the 5-star rating if you enjoy the show. Really appreciate that. But yeah, until next week, guys, see you later. May the force be with you.
Adios.